My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to coach you in real estate to help you build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And the best way I can help you do that today is by giving you the market update for what's going on in Eagle River, Alaska. This is one of the biggest markets in South Central Alaska, and it continues to be a pretty good market to be watching. What we'll be going over is going to be the residential, the condo, and the multifamily market. At the end, we'll have a summary about what all this means for you if you are a buyer, seller, or an investor. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, you know what to do. Give this video a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can receive more information like this in the future. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's market update for Eagle River. First thing that we need to look at is what's going on in the residential market. And the first thing I want to know about the residential market is how many homes are on the market. So this chart behind me tells me that we have a pretty precipitous drop in inventory compared to this time last year. This time last year had about 121 homes are on the market. This year, 86. So we're seeing that there's about a 30% decrease of the overall inventory has just been cut compared to this time last year. And there was low inventory last year compared to the previous year. So across the board, we are seeing there's less inventory in Eagle River for the residential side than there was this time last year. So that's number one. Inventory is way down. The next thing we want to look at is what's going on as far as the properties that have actually sold. Because it doesn't really matter if we've seen a 30% cut in inventory and we're also seeing a 30% cut in the amount of properties that have actually sold, because it's pretty much the same market at that point anyway. But what we are seeing is that even though there are less properties that are on the market, we're seeing an increase in the number of properties that have actually sold. Because we actually did see there was roughly about 55 properties that sold this time last year, like actually closed out in someone else's name, not just pended, that's not closing. And this year we're actually seeing there's roughly about 80 or 90 properties that have actually closed now. So what we are seeing is that there's a significant increase in the number of properties that actually have closed. So that's thing number two. Now, this is going to be the part that I know a lot of you are actually going to tune in for, and this is what's going on for the average sold price. So we are seeing it went a year to date. Average sold price has gone up nearly 9% from about $391,000 to about $400, mid $425 is what we're seeing. So that's a pretty significant uptick in the average sold price for Eagle River, and that's what we would expect. By and large, we are seeing that there's not a huge surge in the average sold price year over year. So this is something that's pretty rare for this area to see nearly a 9% increase in the year over date average sales price. Okay, so that's going to be your summary for the residential stuff. We'll jump into why all that is in the actual summary though. Next thing we're going to check out is what's going on in the condo market. Now in the condo market, we're seeing, first off, it's not as big of a market as what we have in the residential stuff. So we're seeing less inventory, went from about 20 condos this time last year to 16. So not a huge difference. It's only 4 proportionally to the market though, about 25. Did I do that right? Yeah, 25%, 20%. There we go. 20% of the market decrease. So that's number one. Inventory is down in the condo market. The next thing we need to check out is what's going on as far as the number of condos that have actually sold. This time last year, we saw there was about 4. Now we're seeing 15 condos have sold instead. So pretty big increase in the demand. We'll talk about why that sudden increase in the summary. Lastly, for the condos, what we're seeing is the average sold price went from about $245 this time last year to about $261,000 this year. So we are seeing an increase year over date to where we usually are for condos, which is what we would expect. And we're seeing that there's a decrease in inventory and an increase in the number of units that have actually sold. So again, we'll talk about why I believe that is in the summary, but across the board, seeing about a 6.27% average increase for the sold price for condos in Eagle River. Let's take a quick break here real quick. Are you looking at moving up here to Alaska? If that is something you're considering, do make sure you register on my website, and when you do so, just make sure you put in there relocation guide. So that way we know to make sure that you receive the relocation guide, along with a lot of other information like hiking in the area, local attractions, stuff like that, so you're really kind of familiar with the area, and it's a really good resource for you that doesn't cost anything. So let's go ahead and get on with the rest of the market update though. Finally, let's check out and see what's going on in the multifamily market. So what we see here behind me is that this clearly shows us the multifamily market is not as big as what we see in the residential or the condo stuff. For example, we're seeing that there was about 8 properties on the market this time last year. Now there are 5. So not a huge pool either way. And just anecdotally for myself recently, who purchased a multifamily property in Eagle River, not a whole lot of options. So that's number one. Inventory is down, but it's not a big pool to start with. So back here, what we're seeing is that even though the inventory is way down for the multifamily properties in Eagle River, we're still seeing an uptick in the number of properties that have actually sold. I mean, it's not, I'm not trying to really be tongue-in-cheek here, but we are seeing that there is a significant increase in the overall number of units and properties that did sell this time last year compared to the previous year, because there were none that sold the year before. Now there are 3. So that's significant. Now finally, the thing that I know you're really going to be paying attention to if you are an investor is looking at what is going on for the average sold price for the multifamilies in Eagle River. And across the board, year to date, it actually is staying very stable, very steady from where it was the year before. For example, we saw a point, it came down slightly by 0.24. Okay, so less than 0.25% it came down. So less than $1,000, it was about $389. Now it's just over $388. So less than $1,000 across the board though. So it did come down slightly, not very much though. Let's go ahead and do the summary real quick then. Number one, if on the residential side, like I said before, we are seeing a really big decrease in the amount of inventory that's available on the market, which is driving the average sold price up significantly. And we're seeing that trend really kind of replicated also with the condos. It's going to be the same thing, just to a lesser extent. So inventory's down, sold price is up for the condo and residential market. For the multifamilies though, what we're seeing is that it's a smaller pool and it's staying more or less consistent. And the reason for that is a lot of investors do like Eagle River because it does have a lower cap rate, but also it has less chances of things going wrong, usually, is what we're seeing. If you want to figure out what a cap rate is, just go ahead and go Google it and draw your own conclusions from there. But what we're seeing, at least on the condo side, I suspect we have a lot of people that are just getting tired of getting beat up, making their offers as buyers, and not getting very far on residential properties. It's not impossible, but people are definitely having to work a lot harder now than they normally would, and so they're kind of switching gears and going over and looking at what's going on in the condo market. So I suspect that segment of the market is going to continue seeing some really good action, along with the residential market as well. So across the board, it's a pretty good report. And what we're seeing for you as a buyer, they can still happen in Eagle River. You just have to be determined, focused, and make sure you know what it is that you're looking for. As a seller, I don't know what you're looking for or what you're waiting for if you're not wanting to get on the market yet. This is not going to last forever. Okay, let's be very clear. This is not the new normal. Markets do not sustain this level of appreciation. Eventually, it's going to cool down. And anecdotally, it's not reflected in the data just yet. Anecdotally, though, I have started to see and feel that in the market that it's starting to slow down. So if you're looking at getting your house on the market, you've been thinking about it, let's go ahead and set up a time where I can sit down and we can go through this data and how it applies to your house specifically and see how we can help you. Now, if you're an investor, this is still pretty good news. Then the prices haven't just shot through the roof, and that's pretty favorable. Not a whole lot of options in Eagle River, though, because it's so highly desirable. So that is your summary for what's going on for the market update here in Eagle River. I sure hope it was useful. And if you do have any questions, do make sure you reach out to me on my Facebook page. The link for that is going to be in the description section down below, and be happy to answer any questions you have through there. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.